Welcome to the Dungeon Master Academy, where we give you tips and hints all about how to enhance your DM experience. So this is just our raw footage we're talking about. We wanted to bring to you basically a lesson in how to use the different monsters that are out there. There's a lot of information when it comes to the monsters, their stat blocks, but actually getting creative in how to use the different monsters that are out there from CR rating 1-8 to 20. Our monsters sometimes just end up being sacks of hit points. So this series, which we're going to be bringing to you Tuesdays and Thursdays, is all about how to challenge your players with, and today, it's Bandits and Blood Hawks. So Bandits and Blood Hawks are actually not in the monster manual. They're in the basic rules, and they're in a couple of appendixes where you actually have bandits, which are a 1/8 humanoid bandit, and bloodhawks, which I don't know if anyone ever uses or knows about. So I wanted to bring these in because I like to use them together, and I've used them a handful of times. So let's go ahead and give you the stat blocks of both here. So bandits. So bandits are AC 12, hit points 11. They've got basic stats all the way across the board. Pretty much, they've got a +1 to dex save, +1 to con. Their passive perception is 10. They are a challenge rating 1/8. They've got a scimitar melee attack weapon. Its average hit is 4. Light crossbow, which hit is 5. So overall, if you're putting these against a level 1 party, these can drop some of your more basic characters down to 0 pretty quickly, such as sorcerers and wizards. They're not going to last very long against these guys. So let's actually talk a little bit about how to use them, though. So because they're a 1/8 CR rating and their hit points are 11, they're an average of about a 2-hit kill for a creature. If you get a good die roll, you might be able to hit that 11 depending on the damage output of your party. But for the most cases, most bandits will die in 2 hits. However, at level 1, most of your characters are going to die in 2 hits as well. So if you're level 2, that changes the dynamics pretty severely. However, you can still use bandits at level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4 because of action economy. So the way to actually utilize bandits is to think tactically. So bandits are intelligent creatures. So what? They've got a basic melee attack and they have a light crossbow for ranged. So think of them as a group of bandits. If you're riding down the road and you get ambushed, you'll have people that'll come out with scimitars to block your way, and then you'll have crossbowmen behind. So a group of 6 bandits all of a sudden swing the favor in the bandit sides because they have 6 actions compared to your player's 4 actions, if you're talking about 4 people in a party. So to sway it one way or another, to make the encounter more or less difficult, all you have to do is simply raise the number of bandits in the party. There's a caveat here. You've got to be careful about making the bandits get the jump on your party. Because if you have 4 crossbowmen and 4 melee and you've got a party of 4 people, that means you're going to have 8 actions going against your party before they get to react. So a lot of times bandits won't have the jump on them, they will surprise them, and this can actually be a role-playing encounter too, as they ask for a toll, ask for their weapons, ask for their money. In most cases, the party is going to fight the bandits. So you got to be careful about overwhelming them. So a lot of times, a really good way to utilize bandits is simply to outnumber the party depending on the party's level. So if you're going up against a first level party, 4 bandits up front in melee range and 2 bandits in the back all of a sudden makes for a really interesting fight, especially because those crossbows, their range is 80 feet. So if you put them at 70 feet away, that's actually out of this range of most spellcasters' abilities. Then you put the melee people directly up in front of them. You can even put 4 crossbowmen in the back, 4 melee up front, but you've got to make sure that your party is going to be able to handle the barrage of arrows that's going to come. Now, if you're paying attention to the spells that your party has and your casting members have defensive spells such as shield, you can actually have them be attacked by those crossbowmen. Because the crossbowmen are going to attack the squishy people, the cloth people in the back. They're not going to attack the guys dressed in full plate armor or brigandine. That's just not going to happen. So you got to keep that in mind with the strategy that the bandits are going to use. So think about that. What does this encounter look like? Where do the bandits position their archerymen to be out of range, to be at range? And it could be 4 and 2, it could be 3 and 2. You know, that one extra action on the bandit side may actually give them the ability, especially if both bandits fire at your caster and drop him in the first round. So you've got to really play with this. Now, if this is a level 2 party, all of a sudden the CR changes dramatically. Because what ends up happening is that now those party members aren't a one-hit kill to the bandits. So you really can start playing with your layout once the party hits level 2. So now you could have 8 bandits, right? You could have 4 in melee, 4 in ranged. Now that still poses a major problem for your squishier characters, such as your sorcerers and your wizards and even your bards. But your frontline, these guys are only having a +3 to attack on either their melee or their ranged attacks. So someone that has an 18 AC is still going to need a 15 to hit. So they're still going to be able to avoid a lot of the attacks that comes in on it. So they're going to be able to withstand those melee characters. But the range attacking your range is really where the distress is going to come from. So you can create this tenseness within your fights simply by increasing the level of bandits. Now, before we bring Bloodhawks in, I want to bring up another point. If the party is going to where the bandits' hideout is, something you can do is bring in waves of bandits. So you could start the encounter with 4 melee and 2 ranged, right? And see how the fight starts to go down. And if your guys drop 3 of the melee people in that first round, you can then call in reinforcements. If they haven't used any of their resources yet, and this is supposed to be an encounter, bring in 3 more reinforcements. Now, what happens is, either one, they're going to have to dash to get to the party, which means they won't be able to attack, which leaves them open for attacking, or they can move 30 feet and ready an action for anyone that comes into them. So if your melee moves up, then they get to attack. So if you think strategically on how the bandits would actually fight, this battle then becomes more difficult, and you as the dungeon master can allow for waves to come in, enhancing the difficulty, also making the players go, oh, I didn't think about this. Now, if your players do their reconnaissance and they have a druid that turns into a spider that shapes in and looks at the entire bandit camp, and they see that they've got a total of 8 people, well, what do you do then? Well, that's where you can actually start using Bloodhawks. Now, what I like to do with Bloodhawks is they have something called pack tactics. Pack tactics on a Bloodhawk mean that when a Bloodhawk attacks a target where its ally is adjacent, it gets advantage. So if you have a melee bandit, your character, and the Bloodhawk comes swooping in, it gets advantage. Here's the fun part about a Bloodhawk. This, number one, swings the action economy again towards the bandits. It gives them advantage, which means it can increase the likelihood they're going to hit. So their attacks don't do a ton of damage, though. 1d4 plus 2. So on a level 1 party, this can be very dangerous. On a level 2 party, this is a little bit more sustainable. But they have a fly speed of 60. So a lot of times the DM will say the Bloodhawk flies in and attacks, but they don't have them fly out because that would generate an attack of opportunity. Well, players love using attacks of opportunity. They love seeing when that actually happens in their counters. And that Bloodhawk is going to come in, attack with its claws, and then it's going to fly away. That's what's going to happen. That's what it would naturally do, especially if it was trained. So this gives your players a chance to actually use their attacks of opportunity. It gives them a chance to lower the difficulty of the actual encounter because that's flying away. The hit points are only 7, and a good melee fighter may even bring it down on 1 hit. They also have an AC of 12, so they're easy to hit. So they're kind of like missiles that can be taken out of the sky that can be used by the crossbowmen. So if you have 3 crossbowmen, 3 Bloodhawks, they get called in, right? They blow a horn or a whistle, and the Bloodhawks come in. You can reserve those Bloodhawks for if things get bad, and maybe the crossbowmen don't use them right away. So they drop 2 of the members up front. They've only got 1 member, so then they call in the 3 Bloodhawks, which each do flybys and swoops. If they're at range and they're 80 feet away, well, the Bloodhawks can get there in 1 turn, but most likely they're going to fly 60 feet. They're still out of range. Your party gets to see it. Now they can deal with the Bloodhawks. So it adds a level of intensity to your battle, to your fight, by utilizing those Bandits and Blood Hawks and making sure that you have ranged, melee, and the bandits have a strategy. In addition, you can actually make the overall encounter much more deadly by increasing the numbers, but remember, bandits are as likely to flee as they are to stand and fight. And so you might even have to say, well, if they drop 2 of the melee characters, there's a 50% chance. So if I roll a 10 to a 20, the crossbowmen will run away. So then if you got 3 crossbowmen, you roll 3d20, there's a chance they'll all stay, there's a chance they'll all leave. Adding a little bit of chance to it. Or you may just decide, wow, the party just dropped 2 of our melee guys, and all the crossbowmen flee. And then maybe the bandits up front surrender. So you can make a really deadly encounter, not necessarily have to end in the party wiping them out, as long as you think about the people that are in the fight. The bandits don't want to die. But at the same time, why are they there? Why is the encounter happening? Utilizing that range to add another level of difficulty. If you just take 8 bandits and you throw them into melee, your party's probably going to wipe them out pretty quick. Especially if the, sorcerer or wizard has sleep, they can take the majority of these out. But that's also a really good spell, but sleep has a limited range. So if the sorcerer moves into range of those crossbowmen, cast sleep or any other AoE, burning hands if they can get close enough, but that's only 15 feet. There's a series of things, but bottom line is, by making the Bandits and Bloodhawks combined together have a higher action economy than the players, you then make it a risky situation for the players. So that's kind of one of the ways you can use these very, very basic creatures to actually create that. So guys, thank you very much. We're going to end it right there because that really kind of sums up Bandits and Bloodhawks, taking a very basic creature and making it to a fun encounter. A way to enhance this even further is by using advanced terrain, overhangs, cliff faces, but we'll get to that later on. We just want to talk about the creatures during the series. So this one should come out today, which is Thursday the 21st. We should have these coming out every Tuesday and Thursday from this point forward, giving you basically, we're going to start with CR 1/8 creatures, and we're just going to work our way through in an alphabetical order to give you fun ways to use new creatures. So we hope you guys found this useful. Now, this is just our rant on YouTube. We actually have a Patreon. We're developing an entire world that's a supplement, and if you guys are a Patreon, you can actually get access to our World Anvil account. So feel free, if you like this content, support us on Patreon. Otherwise, stay tuned next Tuesdays and Thursdays for more How to Challenge Your Party. We will see you next time.